Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, and it is time for some endurance racing as the Conliff eSports team is taking on the mountain. We are going to Mount Panorama in Australia, and man, it's dark. They're qualifying now. As you see, Giancarlo is out on track getting his qualifying run in the Conliff Ferrari this morning. The team, there are two Conliff teams this morning. Team 1, Giancarlo, Andrew, and Adam are going to be on track, and we will be watching them, but we'll also be talking to Team 2 with Mike, Simon, and Nick Sorensen, all three also in a Conliff Ferrari. Hey, good morning, Jim, and good luck to you and your team. Good morning to Martin. How's it going, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great morning. This one is going to be interesting. We saw the Conliff team at Daytona. They had a great start to that one, but it got rough later in the night. However, this morning likely to be a bit different. This track is tricky, and the first few laps, well, they can be brutal. Briefly talked to another team that ran last night and is still going. They started it late last night. 30 minutes into their race, they got caught up in a big one and lost a lot of time on track for repairs and whatnot. So this morning is coming up the mountain is definitely going to be a challenge for them. The Ferrari does seem to be the best car here this morning. However, talking to the drivers, the Porsche is extraordinarily fast, but it is also trying to actively kill you throughout the race. So things are going to get interesting in that car, and let's take a lap as he goes onto the long straightaway. In the Ferrari of Giancarlo, there he just crossed the start-finish line. Through turn 1, down that long straightaway, one of the two fast parts of this track, and as he ventures up the mountain, that's when things will get interesting. Now, out there for qualifying at the moment, and as he comes through the first right-hander and up the hill, then into this tight left-hander in Bathurst, there's a tendency right through this section for the entire field to bunch up. If one car has a problem coming up through there, between those walls, man, it has stacked up, and I have seen huge pileups right there where the entire field has to stop. However, with the higher I rating of this Conliff team, there is a very real possibility they will make it through. Now you get to the top of the mountain and head back down. Things also get sketchy here as well. Those walls are brutal, and you have to just get as close as humanly possible to them as you come back down the mountain to carry as much speed as possible. And again, if somebody makes one mistake, clips one wall, it can stack up the whole field. That first 10 laps, it is going to be scary for this team. As he comes down the long straightaway, and sadly, I just found out there was historically the Bathurst jump, where you would go straight on in that right-hand corner through the gravel, and there was a place to launch the car. However, iRacing has made the gravel through there stickier, and there is no more Bathurst jump. So, yeah, that's a little heartbreaking. Giancarlo coming through that final turn now onto the front straightaway, and we'll see just where his qualifying lap puts him. Right now, he's at the top of the leaderboard. Interesting. However, at the moment, I cannot see the way that we do this. I can't see the other teams' qualifying runs like we normally can, so now it is dark in Australia right now. It is currently 5:44. The temperature has actually come down a little bit on the track. It is now down to 75. However, throughout the day, It is Australia, and there is potentially as much as a 70-degree temperature swing. 70 degrees Fahrenheit, over 20 degrees Celsius temperature swing, both in the air and on the track. And that's going to make, especially for guys like Giancarlo, he is going to be starting this race and will come back about midday when it's going to be at its hottest. Now, as we did at Daytona, we will be broadcasting the first couple of hours and the last couple of hours, so you can come back in about 10 hours and catch the last part of this race. If there's any problems throughout the day, we've established communication, so we'll get back on and get the driver's interview. Hopefully, we see this team finally get to victory lane live. They have this team has been successful in past races and pulled off wins at multiple tracks. However, Daytona obviously did not go their way. Now, with two Conliff teams here this morning, that could change. We could see both teams get in victory lane. Both teams are in different splits. However, there was discussion this morning in preparation for the next one of these races. There may be a situation where the drivers decide, hey, you know what? We're going to split the teams up in such a way that our I ratings are close enough to potentially put us in the same split. Giancarlo parks it after completing his qualifying run, currently qualified in 20th. And it looks like we might have a small glitch with the overlay portion here. So we're going to fix that real quick. Don't go anywhere. If you were watching yesterday, you know we had a big issue and spent the day having to rebuild all of these overlays. And it looks like it decided to glitch on us this morning. And there we go, about 30 seconds left to go in the qualifying run. So the drivers will be completing it, and we will get ready to go racing here in Australia. Make sure you got your coffee, your water, whatever you need for your morning. Get ready, folks, because Giancarlo is about to lead the Conliff eSports team off the grid. Now, you can check out the Conliff eSports team at conliff-racing.com. All right, folks, here we go. Cars starting to take the grid now as they stack up. It's going to be a big field here this morning. Looks like 49 teams are starting the race. We'll see if we can get a good look real quick at Giancarlo's car. We got a cameraman running out on track to show us that new Conliff Conliff Racing eSports car, that beautiful looking Ferrari with the Advanced Sim Racing logo on the front. Advanced Sim Racing, a partner with Conliff on this car. Hey, good morning, Jason. Check out Advanced Sim Racing for sure. They have got some great stuff out there. And man, it's I can't go to their website or their Facebook page without drooling. So definitely check out Advanced Sim Racing. I'm looking forward to eventually getting a full rig, and hopefully we will be able to get it from them. It looks like just waiting on a couple more cars to take to the grid here in Bathurst. This is going to get wild. Now, as I mentioned, we're not going to be here for the full 12 hours. What we'll do is we will watch the drivers and talk to them for the first 2 hours, and then we will come back for the final 2 hours unless something happens in between in which case we'll quickly put out a tweet and we will quickly hop on. Looks like several drivers are choosing to start from, well, I say several, looks like 2 drivers choosing to start from the grid, so 47 cars on the grid for the start. This track, man, it is fun when you get it right, and it's a nightmare when it goes wrong. Make sure you drop in the comments, make sure you drop in the comments and wish both Conliff Racing eSports teams good luck this morning. That we will be focusing on Team 1 here. Team 1 has Giancarlo, Andrew Lau, and Adam Barker. Team 2 that we're not seeing has Mike Dalling, Simon Zierk, and Nick Sorensen. And we will be talking to that team throughout the morning. And here they come. The green flag is in the air. The 12 hours of Bathurst has begun. And the big question, as always here, Giancarlo, can he make it through lap 1? Will there be the big pileup? Coming down this straightaway, there's Porsches out front, and as we mentioned in pre-race, the Porsche's biggest problem, it's fast here. It's been the fastest car here, but it is also the most. Oh, we've got a stack up in the second turn. Everybody makes it through clear. The drivers who started from pit road have taken to the track. Giancarlo, so far, so good. As they start up the mountain, that first choke point, no issues there. A few cars already in trouble at turn 1, but everybody else makes it through. Giancarlo and team are in the 77 car. They started in 24th place, now up to 23rd. They picked up 1 position in that mess in turn 1. As they come back down the mountain for the first time, and that second choke point, so far, they made it through. Onto the back straightaway, and Giancarlo likely breathing a sigh of relief here in the early going. And once they complete lap 1, I do believe we have Andrew Lau available, so we're going to talk to him. Andrew will actually be 3rd in line. Adam Barker takes the 2nd stint. Already have 1 car ducking onto pit road, some chaos back behind. Giancarlo just crossed the start-finish line for his first lap and currently in 22nd place. A lot of cars off track back behind in turn 1. Let's take a quick look at one of those incidents that happened right behind. Wow, that actually started further back than what we were expecting. There you see him coming down that back straightaway. And, oh, just a little contact. And, ooh, the Porsche goes for a tumble but sticks the landing. Giancarlo on his way back up the mountain. And it looks like Andrew is actually spotting at the moment. So we'll give him a minute or two before we before we bother him, just to make sure Giancarlo makes it through these first few laps as the field begins to spread out here in the early going. Lap 2 here, and they should be getting some heat into those tires. And again, they start at night, so it does make it a little bit trickier. And as I mentioned, the drastic change in temperature here in Australia is going to have an effect. Giancarlo is starting this race. He'll run the first 2 stints, then hop back in midday. And that midday stint, it will be a bit tricky because he will come back out on a much hotter track. Giancarlo is hanging out at the back of this lead pack. This lead pack all still together, as you can see on the map, are all pretty much still nose to tail. There is a second group that is falling about 2 1/4 seconds back as they go back up the mountain. Looking at the balance of power numbers for today, they were actually the Ferrari, as that car right in front of Giancarlo just smacks the wall. See if he's got any damage. Giancarlo's got to watch out for the cars ahead as much as anything else. And back down the back straightaway. Let's see if we can get a quick word with Andrew. Hey, Andrew, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, good morning, Doug.
Hey, good morning. An exciting start to this one. A few close calls going into turn 1. How is Giancarlo feeling?
Yeah, his heart rate is pretty high, as understandable, but he's done a great job keeping us safe so far through lap 1. A couple of cars have already towed, so free positions for us.
That is always a plus, and a lot of chaos going on, fortunately, right behind you, as we've seen a bunch of cars off track, and as you mentioned, towing already. So you guys already up a couple of spots, not making any aggressive moves yet, though.
Yeah, I think it's hard to get overtakes here unless people make mistakes like that.
Yeah.
Pretty much single file and just running the safe race.
It does look like at least in this split, we did not see the stack up coming up the mountain and did not see a lot of chaos into turn 1 prior to this lap. Is the plan just to run safely for a while and let things happen? Is there a point at which you guys start attacking?
I think we're just gonna put some laps under our belt. Maybe let other cars take themselves out if they feel the rush to. Our plan is probably going to be a little bit of fuel saving, and then maybe towards the end we start pushing if their position's a gain.
Well, it's definitely going to be an interesting day. Dramatic changes in track temp. I know you're helping spot, so I'll let you get back to it, man. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you, Doug.
Andrew Lau will be 3rd in the car. Adam Barker will be the 2nd driver in the car. And as you heard him say, they are just going to cruise and save some fuel. This was the strategy at Daytona to a degree, and they were actually on track to have 2 less pit stops than the rest of the field at Daytona, and that was going to put them in the top 5 battling for the win. Unfortunately, got taken out late in that race. Giancarlo already up 4 spots as we saw a car go off in turn 1 a moment ago, right in front of him. And this lap, we have seen a lot of cars going off track. Let's see if we can see the incident in turn 1 last time by. Yeah, it looks like that guy lost his lights as he went up the mountain. and ended up towing to pit road, but let's see. Yeah, that would be dramatically bad, losing the lights coming up the mountain. That was the flipping incident we saw just a little bit ago. Taking a look at this incident as they come through the final turn, and that got just completely overshot the final turn, but gets it recovered. So many places on this track that is so easy to just barely overshoot. A little contact, BMW versus Porsche. Oh, and the Porsche lost his rear wing completely. That Porsche did lose its complete wing. We'll take a look and see if we can see where that driver has fallen to. He has actually not been to pit road yet, as the sun is starting to come up just a little bit. That Porsche that we saw having the incident in turn 1 is now dropped back into 31st position. Still no rear wing. That is a gutsy call to not go to pit road and get a new rear wing put on that car, because the Porsche is already actively trying to kill you as you go up the mountain. Giancarlo currently sits in 20th, has not made an attack or an overtake yet. In fact, was just overtaken by the BMW of Mark Stassen. And it looks like another driver back behind is off track, has towed to pit road due to a major incident. Let's see what happened. Ooh, big. There was a car wrecked on the front straightaway, and it looks like this driver had previous issues. See what happened here as they come to... Oh! The Ferrari just comes across the back bumper of that BMW, turns them around, and they both end up having to go to pit road on that incident. Now that all did happen right behind Giancarlo, so... So far, a good start to the morning. Giancarlo already up 3 spots into 21st. There are some cars making some big moves, including the car coming up behind him. That Ferrari of Dane Myrie is up 8 spots now into 22nd. Looks like that is a driver on the attack, so we'll likely see Giancarlo let him get by if he gets a run. Again, they are just trying to make it to the end, so safety is a factor here this morning. See a lot of Ferraris on track this morning. Now, as we mentioned, the BMW is extraordinarily fast, but very unstable platform, especially going up the mountain. The BMW, the driver said, was insanely fast on the straightaway, but struggles up the hill. Does moderately good up the hill, but on the mountain itself, the best car has been the Ferrari. But the best and most stable, the fastest on the mountain is the Porsche, but again, that Porsche is a handful. And speaking of the Porsche, the leader is in a Porsche and out front by 2 1/4 seconds over second place. Third right there on the bumper, as is fourth pretty much on back. There's quite a few of them there, nose to tail. That Porsche we saw lose the rear wing has gone to pit road, finally. Hopefully to get a new rear wing put on. Now, Endurance Racing, they do not have a fast repair available. So any car that ends up on pit road for repairs is going to be there a while. As we just saw, a very heart-stopping moment for Giancarlo. That car ahead, Dane Myrie, who passed him a few laps ago, having a problem coming through the last few turns. Mount Panorama is a 3.86 mile track with 23 turns. The majority of those turns are going up the mountain. And as we mentioned, a lot of Ferraris in the field. This is definitely a very Ferrari-heavy field, but the few Porsches out here are out front. And surprisingly, only 2 Audis this morning. However, coming into this race, the balance of power to the Audi was minus 1% fuel and minus 1.75% power. In fact, the Ferrari being the only car on track that has not had any balance of power changes for this race. The Porsche actually had the same balance of power as the Audi, minus 1% fuel, minus 1.75% power. And not surprisingly, no Mercedes in the field. A bit of a surprise. I have not seen a Lambo in the field either this morning. However, the Mercedes did have a balance of power of minus 1% on fuel and minus 2% on power. By far the biggest difference in power this morning. Several cars who had towed previously have just returned to the track. So we could be seeing a few damaged cars as the drivers come around. That Porsche had come back out on track for a minute, but has gone back to pit road. Meanwhile, Giancarlo has been overtaken. Again, dropping back into 22nd. We saw Mark Stassen and Dane Myrie get by a little bit ago. Dane did have that close call about a lap and a half, 2 laps ago. Giancarlo almost got to meet the rear bumper. Now, here's the big effect they are going to have this morning. The start of this race, the track temperature in practice was 76 degrees. The start of this race, the track temperature was at 75 degrees. It is now up to 76, and it is going to climb all day. In fact, we expect to see temperature swings as much as 70 degrees here this morning, so we could potentially see track temperatures over 140 degrees. The drivers did say they saw some really hot temps in practice during the daylight. As we've got a battle on just ahead of Giancarlo. That BMW again has the power advantage on the straightaway, but the Ferrari on the move on the outside. Giancarlo having to watch this one closely. Almost a little contact The Ferrari pulls it off and clears. That does allow Giancarlo to reel him back in. The next car back, another Ferrari, about 1.4 seconds back. Did gain a little ground during that battle. However, it did give Giancarlo the slipstream back, and he is definitely going to be utilizing that this morning as they try and conserve fuel in the early going here. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out the Conliff eSports website, conliff-racing.com. You can see their schedule, their roster for this season. The next one will be the 12 Hours of Sebring. Then they will attempt the 24 Hours of the Nürburgring. Giancarlo heading back down the mountain, and you know it'll be interesting to see. Let's take a look and see what kind of speed Giancarlo is getting here this morning. Down that long straightaway, 164.66, continues to climb, touching 170 when he goes into that turn at the end of that straightaway. Will he have as much speed on the next one is the question. It is an up and down one. Another car has had a big wreck on track. We'll take a look here in a minute. Does look like there is a car slow on the inside on the front straightaway. Actually sliding right in front of Giancarlo. Back onto the straightaway, that Ferrari slow on the inside. Giancarlo getting up to 145. So not as much speed as they head up the mountain, and that back straightaway gets dicey quickly. And let's take a look. There's been a couple of incidents in the last few minutes. Looks like everybody involved is back behind. Let's see what has happened back behind. That was that slow Ferrari we saw a moment ago, and looked like he had a problem getting into the final turn. Just goes for a spin there. Loses a lot of ground. That actually gave Giancarlo another position. And then a moment later, coming into that final turn, a lot of battling. And oh, that was just right behind Giancarlo. But a quick spin and recovery, that Ferrari keeps moving. "12 laps in, Giancarlo still up 2 spots into 22nd. He's got about a 2.4 second gap on the car behind. He is closing the gap on the car ahead. It is now just about 9/10 of a second. The BMW will be faster on this next straightaway. But if Giancarlo can get tucked into a slipstream just a little bit, then we could see him reel in that BMW. The leader out front in the Porsche, still a big lead, 3 seconds now over second place. Third, fourth, and fifth all still tucked together nicely. However, the driver in fifth place does appear that he has had some connection difficulties this morning, so we'll keep an eye on that. That could definitely have an impact. As we saw the other night in the Jones BS Racing event. If you missed out, you can check that out on our YouTube channel. Yeah, that a car magically reappearing at a not great time could be problematic. Hey, good morning to Jared and Tessa. If you guys are watching at home, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that share button. Help this team out a little bit. Drop into the comments and give the Conliff Racing team a little bit of love this morning. As we mentioned, we do have 2 teams out on track. Let's see. Looks like Mike Dalling is in the car for race number 2. Let me see if we can get a word quickly with Simon Zierk. Hey, Simon, it's Doug. You got me?
Hello, Doug.
Hey, we're obviously watching Team 1, but we're curious, how is Team 2 doing right now?
Our quality was not so good. We started somewhere in the back, around 45, I think. And now we're at P30.
Well, that's
With some clean laps and crashes from others, we gained a lot of positions.
It sounds like it. Are you guys running a similar strategy to Team 1, just doing some fuel conservation here in the early going?
Now we are a little bit held up by some guys, but we are try to save fuel, but we don't have to save so much fuel.
Well, that
to save one complete stint.
Well, that is definitely a plus. We'll give you more of a chance to attack here for sure. Obviously, you guys have avoided any chaos on track so far.
Yeah, our car is pretty clean and we avoided a lot of chaos.
That is always a plus. Well, man, good luck. I know you've got you're the second driver in the car, so we will check back with you here in a little bit, and good luck to Team 2.
Thank you, Doug.
Simon Zierk running in Team 2. Obviously not a great qualifier, but man, they are on the attack, already up 15 spots. It is rough qualifying in the back because you do have the chaos as they come up the mountain. However, so far this morning, and again, this comes down to the team's I ratings being a little bit higher, there has been a lot less chaos. Hope everybody is having a great Saturday morning. This is it's a great Saturday to have some racing in Australia for sure. A very Ferrari-filled field. Not a ton of Porsches out here, but the majority of Porsches in this field are in the top 10. In fact, 7 of the top 10 currently are in the Porsche. And another driver just behind Giancarlo has had a major issue. And it is another one of the Porsches heading off into the final turn, just snaps loose. It's about the third or fourth one we have seen snap loose out of that final turn so far this morning. Now, that Porsche we saw go off earlier hit the wall and lost his rear rear wing, has got a new rear wing on the car, is back out on track, but did drop all the way back to 45th after starting in 15th. So obviously one that unfortunate for that team, but was a big help to the Conliff eSports team. But you got to hand it to any of these drivers that get back out. They're going to fight their way back up. And on the mountain, anything can happen. The field really starting to spread out here. Giancarlo starting to find some lap traffic. Some of these cars that were caught up early. Looks like so far a ton of respect being shown out on track as the slower cars have been moving over, letting the leaders get by. Giancarlo has started losing ground on the cars ahead. Oh my goodness. That Porsche that we talked about a moment ago that had just gotten back out on track with a new rear wing has crashed. Coming, it looks like over the top of the mountain, the back end just snaps loose. He hits the inside wall, then the outside wall. From another angle, this car, man, this team is really struggling this morning. A heartbreak for them for sure. Hopefully, they can get that car recovered and going again. They lost their rear wing. Now it appears they have lost their front bumper. Giancarlo, as we mentioned, not attacking yet, but let's ride along and with this in-car camera for a lap and just see how he's doing here. Through turn one onto the front, or onto that first straightaway. The front straightaway very short. Through turn one, a 90-degree left-hander, and we have seen a lot of drivers struggling there. Over the hill, looking into turn two and headed up the mountain. Sees the BMW just ahead going into that left-hander, and this is where the track really tightens up. This is the area where the Ferrari really shines. You got to hand it to that BMW doing a great job hanging on to the Ferrari ahead. Little flutter of the gas as he comes through that left-hander. If you have a team out there racing this morning, drop in the comments. Let us know who's running. Let us know you're running. Let us all cheer you guys on as well. Back down the mountain for Giancarlo. And back full throttle onto the back straightaway. We saw earlier 170 miles an hour at the end of the straightaway when he gets out of the gas. Quickly downshifting through the gears. Back on the throttle, setting up for that final turn. And how many times already have we seen cars having problems here on this final turn? So far, though, the Conliff eSports team got it dialed in. That Ferrari directly behind is actually lap traffic. Giancarlo has continued to pull away from the 23rd place car. Now the gap is 4.6 seconds, and Giancarlo last time by, as there is a fight on ahead as they go up the mountain. The BMW does manage to get by, but the Ferrari has the advantage on the mountain. That has allowed Giancarlo to close back up. These two have been battling for a while. A couple of close calls out there. Fortunately, Giancarlo has Adam Barker and Andrew Lau spotting for him now. Giancarlo not attacking as yet, but isn't really having to as these two cars ahead battle it out. Coming down the mountain between those walls, it is such a tight section of track. It is tough battling there, but just driving down it is tricky. Haven't seen a whole lot of battles coming down the mountain yet. I'm sure there's been a few, but it is a risky proposition. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and hey, hit that share button. Invite your friends and family. It really helps us out. It helps out this Conliff eSports team, and we love you for it. This battle ahead between the BMW of Mark Stassen and the Ferrari of Philippe Pascal Pass, those two have been battling it out. Has allowed Giancarlo to keep the strategy he was looking for. He's not pushing the car. He is able to conserve a lot more fuel by staying in their slipstream, and every time they start to pull away just a little bit, he is not having to push the issue to stay in contact with them. All he is having to do is just stay right where he's at, maintain his current pace, and their battling has allowed him to stay within striking distance, stay in that slipstream, and conserve a lot of fuel. This is considered a pro-level track because of its difficulty. As we mentioned, going up and down the mountain is tricky by yourself, and it doesn't matter what kind of car you're in, even in an MX-5, or looks like there may have been an incident up ahead. Looks like one or two cars did go off track up ahead. Let's see if we can see. There they are coming into that final couple of turns. And oh yeah, that Ferrari just completely misses the turn. Quickly gets it recovered, manages to keep it out of trouble, but lost a ton of spots, a ton of momentum. And that driver also dropping back into 15th will come into striking distance for Giancarlo here soon. Oh, good morning, Zach. Zach Baish's team starting in 3 hours, and he is going to start the race. And starting the race here is a bit tricky, but hopefully yours goes as well as the start of this one did. Make it up the mountain that first time, a lot of times you're going to be okay. Wishing you the best of luck there this morning, Zach. Hopefully we can get some updates on you throughout the day. Now, as we mentioned, we're only going to be doing the first 2 hours and the last 2 hours of this event. However, if any issues come up mid-race between those times, we will hop back on, talk to the drivers, and find out what exactly happened. Well, best of luck, Zach. Man, I don't know that I am not a fan of racing here. I don't know that I would ever attempt Bathurst myself. So you're a braver man than I. I'll do a lot of endurance racing, but this ain't one of them. Some problems coming out of the final turn, but back behind. No effect on the Conliff team at the moment. Does look like it was that final turn yet again, though. Let's take a quick look. Bit of a battle, Porsche versus Ferrari, and oh yeah, the Porsche just overshoots. That's the second time we have seen that one happen recently. Looks like it is likely the tires starting to show a little bit of wear, and drivers just not backing off quite yet. They have been out on track for almost an hour on this set of tires. And speaking of tire sets, we do know they're going to have to change tires and change fuel. Looks like the drivers are going to be shooting for 29 to 30 laps on a tank of fuel. Right now on lap 19, so in about 10 laps we will start to see drivers hitting pit road. Now some of these teams that aren't conserving fuel, we may start seeing some of the pit stops for the leaders before much longer. And that is going to have a dramatic effect. Now, I do know that the Conliff team is trying to stretch this fuel window to where they'll have one less pit stop than the rest of the field. We saw the same strategy at Daytona. We saw it paying off until they got caught up in an incident. And it looks like more incidents on track a moment ago. Looks like just having some cars going off track. Let's take a look. Oh, not a good place. Coming over the top of the mountain, we've seen a couple of incidents here, and yep, a bit of a drift. Man, you got to give it to Justin. That was a great, great save right there. And this incident we saw a few moments ago, this Porsche appears to have actually gone to pit road. He had an unexpectedly towed that car to pit road for some reason. He did not take any damage. That was a driver that had started ahead of Giancarlo, but yeah, is not having a great morning. Now, we mentioned the leader earlier on was pulling away to he had almost got a 4-second lead That has now been chopped down to 2.1 seconds as the remainder of the field is starting to pull him back in. That is likely due to what we've already seen a little bit of this morning. Tire wear is starting to become an issue, and the drivers that pushed too much too early are likely out here trying to just limp it to their first stop. As it does look like a few more cars have had off-track moments in the last few seconds. Let's see what happened. BMW headed down, and that Ferrari, that Ferrari just tried to shoot to the inside. Little bit of contact sent him off. Quickly recovers, no harm, no foul. Then a few moments later, as they go through the final turn, that Ferrari just massively overshoots it right in front of Giancarlo and the team. And another incident headed off into turn one. Looks like that was just a blinking and connectivity issue. Could have an effect on this team later. Giancarlo still holding on to 22nd. But there is that car we saw go off track in turn one a few moments ago. Giancarlo right on his bumper. And he is going into pit road. Giancarlo will take that position, moving up into 21st. That did allow the two cars he had been sitting with to pull away just a little bit. They are now 1.4 seconds away. He really needs to get pulled back up in there, back into the slipstream. And let's see if we can get a word with the driver that will be in the car next time, Adam Barker. Hey, Adam, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, Doug, how's it going?
Good, man. Good morning. Well, I guess not for you, but it has been an interesting race so far, and we're starting to notice over the last 10 minutes a lot of cars really starting to slide. Is tire wear already becoming an issue for some of the other drivers?
Yeah, maybe. People obviously push quite hard to start with in full tanks of fuel, and it is a very demanding track. So if you're pushing these tires a little bit too much, they are gonna give up on you. But it'll be interesting to see for the last few minutes of the stint, see how the lighter fuel loads go. I think Giancarlo's been pretty kind for his tires, so he's catching a little bit, especially over the mountain. Just being nice, economical on the fuel, and making sure we can make it the extra lap.
How many?
So yeah, we can see.
Are you going to be taking tires on the first stop, or how often is the plan to change tires?
Well, we get a free set of tires every time we get fuel. So every fuel stint we'll be changing tires because we get free rubber for free. So.
And it looks like a little bit more chaos. Several other drivers just going off track. Man, so far you guys have really had a clean race, and surprisingly no problems early on up the mountain.
Yeah, a little bit surprised, if I'm honest, that we didn't get a little traffic jam or anything going up the mountain. Most people are still running. It's just getting to the point of the stint now where the fuel loads are dropping, the tires might be getting a little bit too bit worn out, and the concentration just slips for a second, and if it does, these walls are very unforgiving.
They have been that all morning. Well, good luck. I know you're in the car after for the second run, so good luck to you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Adam Barker will be in the car. Now, Giancarlo's running 2 fuel runs. Each driver, it looks like, is going to do 2 fuel runs and then swap out. So it'll be Giancarlo. He'll come into pit road in about 6 to 7 laps. Adam will take over, Giancarlo will refuel 4 fresh tires, get back out there. Adam will take over after the second stint. He will do 2 fuel runs, and then Andrew Lau will be in the car. Now, the sun has come up, and the track temperature at the moment is still holding about 75 degrees. The question really now is, can they continue to hold, how long will this temperature stay down, and can Giancarlo, as the temperature starts to go up, will he be able to maintain the tire saving? He has just run back down Philippe and Mark, who had been chasing earlier on in the race. Also of note, he is starting to gain a little bit of ground on other drivers ahead. However, at the moment, the leader continues to pull a little bit of a gap on the team. That could change dramatically, though, as second, third, and fourth are all 3 starting to gain time on the leader. Now remember, they do have a strategy here. They have let themselves, they qualified 24th and have not pushed the car this morning. The strategy being extend that fuel run 1 or 2 extra laps each time, and by the time this thing is over, they will have done 1 less pit stop than everybody else. Looking at the looking at some of the notes here, it does look like that's going to save them quite a bit of time. Even a full fuel stop here, you do not lose a lap because the length and the difficulty of this track, and lap times in the 2-minute range. But if you're skipping an entire stop, that could be a huge factor. Starting to actually see a few cars. We have seen a few cars go to pit road, and we have also seen a few cars go off track in the last few minutes. Let's take a look at a couple of those. A little side-by-side action. That Ferrari had been in an earlier incident we saw and gets a little bump from a twitchy Porsche. Manages to save it, though. Alec having a rough morning. And then another side-by-side battle as they come into the third to last turn, I believe. And just a little bit of contact sends that Ferrari out into the gravel pit. Giancarlo still holding on to 21st at the moment, continuing to pull away from the team back behind. They are now 9 seconds, almost 9 seconds ahead of Giancarlo, or behind Giancarlo rather. Giancarlo continuing to pull away from the teams back behind. However, that Porsche, having just taken over 22nd spot, is starting to show a little bit of speed as he tries to close back in. And that Porsche that has had so many problems this morning is back on pit road, sadly. Looking to see if this is going to be a regular stop. That Porsche was ahead of Giancarlo at the start of this race. Problems early on at the top of the mountain, lost the rear wing, spent a lot of time on pit road, got back out, and then had an incident and broke the front splitter. Well, that BMW just ahead of Giancarlo, right out to the wall, sending sparks. You see how much better the Ferrari was, as the Ferrari ahead of Giancarlo just was not as close, didn't need to get as close to the wall, and still maintains the speed. The BMW has the power advantage on the long straightaways. But the Ferrari is definitely fast through the mountain, up and down. And good morning to the beautiful unicorn. Hope you got some sleep, Angie. And just saw another pit stop. One of the drivers in the top 10 has come to pit road. So pit stops underway at the moment. Giancarlo coming by, moving up a position. Now this is when this Conliff Racing team starts to come alive. Now a second car on pit road, just behind Giancarlo. This may be the moment that tells the tale of how today's race will go for this team. Remember, they are playing a little bit of speed, a little bit of fuel strategy here. Definitely going to be an interesting situation. These first pit stops are going to be really telling who is conserving fuel, who is conserving tires the most. And remember, with the balance of power numbers for this race coming into Bathurst, looking at this, only 2 cars do not have a reduction in fuel. Those 2 cars are the Ferrari and the BMW, but the BMW does have a 1.5% power reduction. Even with that power reduction, the BMW has been the fastest on the straightaway this morning. Biggest power reduction went to the Mercedes at 2%. Both the Porsche and the Audi minus 1.75%, as well as the Lambo on power. And Mark Stassen is on pit road. That is the BMW that has been battling with Giancarlo. And here comes a lot of the top 20. Giancarlo now picking up a lot of positions. If he can stretch it another lap or two, which I do believe is the plan. They are currently on lap 28, trying to extend to lap 30. Giancarlo is also reeling in Philippe, who has been a constant back and forth between Philippe, Mark, and Giancarlo all morning long. And the leader was one of the drivers that hit pit road, so we have a new leader for the first time this morning. Hey, good morning, Sketch. How are you, bud? Giancarlo back down the mountain. This is going to be the lap that tells the tale. We'll see how many of these drivers have also conserved enough fuel to extend their race versus how many start to come in. Second place, Jan Christensen is on pit road. Fourth place is on pit road. Fifth place is in. And sixth place driver also in. 9th, 10th. A lot of cars just hit pit road. Hey, good to hear, Sketch. Are you working today? Doing good. An early start to the day for sure, but man, these guys are putting on quite a show this morning. And a lot of cars just hit pit road right in front of Giancarlo. Is now scored in 6th. Now we'll... Oh, nice. Now we'll see how the strategy plays out. Giancarlo... Now is the moment that he can really push the car. He's got some clean air. He's been conserving for this run. How long are you on holiday for, Sketch? Back down the mountain for Giancarlo, now scored in 6th. And first and second place have both just hit pit road. Third place is in. Fourth place is coming. Fifth place is coming. Can Giancarlo go one more lap here? Remember, he doesn't need to lead a lap. It's not a points race, and no, he is going to bring it in as well. Now pit stops, the entire top 20 looks like we'll be in completing pit stops here. That's the remaining cars behind that have not been to pit road. Only one more car on track that has not been in. He is back in 13th at the moment, but will he be in this time? Yes, he will. First pit stops of the morning. We're going to see 4 tires and a full tank for everybody here. Giancarlo is down, just waiting for the last drop of fuel, excuse me. And it looks like one of the drivers is having a problem finding his pit stall or just wanted to practice parallel parking. Giancarlo is away. Pit stop completed. 4 tires and fuel. Well, let me know what your availability is this week. Giancarlo rolling back out on track, currently scored in 18th. Picked up a bunch of spots there on pit road. He's got 2 cars right on his bumper. And wouldn't you know, it's Philippe and Mark. Can Giancarlo stay out in front of these 2 drivers that had passed him earlier on in the race? Looks like they were both on a slightly similar strategy, although Giancarlo staying out 2 laps more than Mark and a lap more than Philippe. So they will have more heat in their tires here. And speaking of heat, just over an hour into this race, only 76 degrees on track at the moment. But it is Australia, the sun is up, and the temperature is going to come up soon. The new leader just set the fastest lap of the race last time by. Well, we will plan accordingly, Sketch. Giancarlo definitely did not have the qualifying run he wanted here this morning, but has made up a lot of ground on track. Currently in 18th after pit stop cycle through. Plus, he is able to extend that fuel window by 1 lap. And it looks like only about 5 cars ahead of him are on the same fuel strategy. Probably not, Sketch. My daughter is here and we've got some stuff we're doing. I will see what Angie's plans are. Giancarlo does have a lot of clean air for the moment. 17th place Sebastian is about 3.1 seconds ahead. However, Giancarlo is closing that gap rather quickly. I'll see you later, Sketch. Have a great day, buddy. Sebastian may actually be a bit off pace. He did have that incident earlier on, had some damage to the car. See how quickly Giancarlo reels him in here. As of right now, Giancarlo is showing faster than most of the cars ahead, except for the top 3 at the moment. That Porsche currently sitting in second, led most of the first part of this race. Still got Porsche second, third, and fourth. The top 10 very, very much Porsche heavy. However, a few have slipped out, and we have an Audi in the top 10 now. Yannick Moorman currently running in 6th place. The lone Audi in the top 10, and one of only 2 Audis in the field this morning. And it looks like another driver had an incident a moment ago. Let's see what happened. Oh, that was dramatic. See if we can see where this started. As Jansen comes over the top of the mountain in the BMW, just hits that curbing too hard, and oh my goodness, the wall, the spin, manages to get it backed off the track, and now we've had a car wreck, and 1 or 2 cars are out of the race, or have been towed. Fortunately, oh! I'm not sure, did he not know that car was to his inside? That was a bit wild. Looks like those were both cars back behind, so no impact to Giancarlo at the moment. However, one of the cars ahead of Giancarlo trying to get around a lap car. That Porsche that was just blinking his lights started in 3rd, has drifted back into 15th, went off track a moment ago as he was battling with the Ferrari, and that happening just ahead of Giancarlo, and it's actually allowed Giancarlo to close in a bit, and of course bring Philippe and Mark with him. At the end of this run, they will have their first driver change of the morning. And Adam Barker will step into the car for the first time. Also, Team 2 still out on track. Mike Dulling in the car, but Simon Zierk slated to hop in next. Let's see. Check in with Nick Sorensen. Hey Nick, it's Doug. You got me? Hey, Nick, it's Doug in the booth. You got me? Does look like Sorensen has stepped away while he's waiting on his stint. And Giancarlo was able to utilize the battling between Philippe and Mark Stassen in the first run to stay in the slipstream. They battle once again. Philippe goes past. Giancarlo, though, not really able to use it to run away this time. The leader is out front currently by 3.1 seconds. Third place right on his bumper. Liam Kerr in fourth, back about 5.8 seconds. Then another 7 seconds back to fifth place. A bit of a battle going on right now for sixth. Another 5 seconds back to seventh. Then eighth, about 3 seconds back. Or ninth, rather, about 3 seconds back. And 10th, another 3.25 seconds back. 11th and 12th battling back behind. 13th, about 2.25 seconds back. 14th, another 2.1 seconds back. 15th right there lurking about a second back. And then 16th about 1.7 and 17th about 1.5 seconds back from him, with a Giancarlo closing in now about 2.8 seconds back. Does look like Mark Stassen, though, right behind, had just gone by Philippe a lap ago and is starting to attack. Is he going to try and make the move on Giancarlo, though? The BMW has the power advantage on the straightaway, but the Ferrari definitely faster up the hill. During that first stint, that first fuel run, Mark Stassen and Philippe both battled it out back and forth up the hill, allowed Giancarlo to stay in that slipstream. As we heard Adam Barker say here earlier, it only takes a moment of slipped concentration for everything to go wrong here at Bathurst. Sebastian Gruen currently in 17th place. Sebastian, one of the drivers that had problems early on. Giancarlo is closing in on him. It does look like Sebastian did, while on pit road, get a lot of repairs done to that Ferrari. However, he does not seem to, he still seems to be losing a little bit of time. Yannick Moorman, that lone Audi out there, had a problem a moment ago. Looks like coming into that final turn, Cutslow just goes wide. Gets it back out on track without a problem, but lost some momentum. and a position. And that is just ahead of Giancarlo up in 7th. And here we go. Mark Stassen is making the move on Giancarlo. As we've seen, Giancarlo not going to try and defend the position. He'll let him get by. Use the BMW slipstream to continue to conserve fuel and maybe help him reel in the cars ahead. That BMW has been very fast and very stable. Oh, and as soon as I said that, he smacks the crap out of the wall. And folks, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that share button. Invite your friends and family out to come cheer on the Conliff Racing team. And let's see, there was an incident a moment ago with one of the other drivers. Looks like back behind, thankfully, Giancarlo. And here it is coming up the mountain. No, the BMW gets loose. Wow. The worst possible spot. All the drivers did a great job avoiding him. That could have been traumatic. That is the situation the drivers fear on that first lap, because once a car is sideways there, it takes up half the track. Don't forget to check out the Conliff Racing eSports team. Their website is conliff-racing.com, and check out their upcoming events. Next up will be the 12 hours of Sebring, followed by the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, which is crazy. Good morning to the beautiful unicorn. Let's see if we can dial up Nick Sorensen on Team 2 again. Hey Nick, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey Doug, what's up?
Hey, how is Team 2 doing?
Well, it looks like right now we're in 26, 25, starting in the 40s, so that's excellent. Fortunately, I had to be away from my computer for a little bit this morning. So I'm just getting back on and catching up. But it really seems like Mike's doing a good job here, keeping it safe.
It definitely sounded like when I talked to Simon earlier, qualifying did not go well, but Mike has made up a ton of ground since then.
Yeah, there's definitely some really good drivers in our group here. So we didn't get the qualifying spot that we hoped for. That's not anybody's fault sometimes. That just happens at Bathurst. It's a tough track.
It definitely
but yeah.
is.
Doing really good being up into the 20s now.
How is the car? Have you guys ran into any issues yet?
No issues that I know of. You got to keep turning these laps, trying to be as consistent as you can, and then hope the other people make the mistakes.
Well, man, good luck to you guys. I know you got a while before you're back in the car, but best of luck when you are.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Doug.
Nick Sorensen with Team 2. Conliff Racing Team 2 is also in a Ferrari. Mike Dalling leading that team with Simon Zierk and Nick Sorensen. You're currently watching Conliff Racing Team 1 with Giancarlo leading. Andrew Lau will be up. Yeah, Andrew Lau is up next, followed by Adam Barker. And it does look like the fearless leader of the Conliff team, Mike Marshall, is actually available. Hey, Mike, it's Doug. You got me?
Yeah, Doug, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I know you're watching both teams this morning. How are you feeling about your teams today?
I feel really good about the teams. I think we've got a good mix of drivers, and we're in a good position.
Well, you definitely have seen Team 2 had some problems in qualifying, but man, they have made up for it on track. And Giancarlo, obviously, this Team 1 strategy is right on point today.
Absolutely. Mike has got these guys really laid out nice with really good race plans for each team. And I'm just pins and needles watching to see what happens.
I can only begin to imagine, and man, as it looks like Giancarlo actually looked like he was going to attack for a minute. It is a nerve-wracking track to be watching.
Oh, absolutely. I've driven this track many times and done the 12 hours, and it's a tough strategy to know when to push and when to just let him by. And right now, Giancarlo was not going to fight this guy this early. He knew he could have, but he chose to let him by and is just going to draft on him for a while.
Well, it's definitely been an awesome morning, and the team really coming together really well and especially with some partnership with Advanced Sim Racing. You guys really have come out as a team this season and really been on fire so far.
That's what we were hoping for, with the Mike managing the teams and selecting the drivers. He really got some talented drivers that know race strategy for these endurance races. It's a lot different than the sprint races or the regular official races. The strategy that you have to have in the pit stops and tire strategy, when to push, when not to push. It's an amazing amount of logistics that go into this.
It really is. I was looking over the strategy spreadsheet this morning, and it never fails to amaze me what Simon can put together with the help of Mike and Adam and everybody. It's really impressive, the detail that these guys are putting into the logistics for today.
Oh yeah, I mean, Simon is a true scientist, and it really shows, besides being an excellent driver, how to put data together and really use the analytics to our benefit.
And it definitely pays off. I noticed the details are down to the second, and as of right now, actually looking at Giancarlo's first stint, I believe he's a little bit ahead of schedule, so really, man, the numbers are looking really good today.
Yes, they are. And to be this early in these positions with both cars, it's an amazing thing. It's so easy to get tied up into bad situations early on in this race on this track. They've done a great job of navigating it and overcoming any difficulties.
They definitely have. Well, man, best of luck to this team and the rest of the day. I know we'll have another 30 minutes or so. We'll be back this evening, and Giancarlo can reach out to me if there's anything we need to talk about. But man, great racing so far and an awesome team.
All right. Thanks a lot, Doug. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, buddy.
All right.
Mike Marshall, ladies and gentlemen, the owner-operator of Conliff Racing and Conliff Solutions. Definitely check out Conliff Solutions as well. They do a lot of great tech work, video and voice communication stuff, and man, yeah, they've got some great stuff. And now with this Conliff Racing team at conliff-racing.com and that partnership, if I can speak, with Advanced Sim Racing, holy cow, what a team you've got there. Advanced Sim Racing, I have to be careful about going to their website, going to their Facebook page, because it is just a drool session for me. Now, you heard Mike mention, and we talked about it a few moments ago, Giancarlo let Mark Stassen get by when Mark went on the attack, and that has paid off in big dividends. Mark Stassen has now brought 17th place and 16th place back within striking distance. Giancarlo staying right on his bumper when Mark goes through. Hopefully Giancarlo will be able to capitalize. Giancarlo, after starting in 24th, up to 19th, and of course Team 2 starting back in 45th, already up into 25th and still moving forward. As they come up the mountain, things are about to really heat up. Giancarlo has been just pacing himself, conserving the tires, conserving the fuel, and it has paid off. They've picked up 5 spots so far. But now things are really getting interesting. He has been with Mark Stassen all morning long. Let Stassen by a few laps ago. Now Stassen is in position to start attacking, and there's several cars just ahead that he can attack. But there is one lap car between them. And that actually is a huge advantage here, at least on the straightaways. That gives Stassen and by extension Giancarlo extra slipstream here. Giancarlo slipping a little bit back from the BMW on the straightaway. And the Audi in the top 10 has had another problem. There is Yannick Moorman. We've seen him having problems. Oh! He went into there side by side, a little bump. Close call, that could have been worse, and it does look like Yannick's car is showing, and he is showing a little bit of displeasure there, it looks like, with the light flashes. And folks, don't forget, tomorrow morning, these drivers will be back in the car for GT3 NSS as their season continues to roll on. Their season is starting to wind down. Points battles are awfully close, and yeah, things are going to get really, really exciting. In fact, looking at tomorrow, they will be back here for the race. Looks like some drop races have been calculated, giving Giancarlo a 30-point lead going into tomorrow, and we'll be back here battling with his teammate Andrew Lau. Definitely going to be an interesting morning, going from being teammates here to battling for a championship tomorrow morning. Let's see if we can ask Andrew about it before he has to get back in the car. Hey Andrew, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, Doug.
Hey, I had a question just sitting here thinking about this. You've got 2 weeks left in the NSS season, and your teammate there is the guy you're battling with for the championship.
That's right, but we're going to stick him in the Ford tomorrow. No excuses.
So, yeah, I'm sure it's a little peculiar racing his teammates today and almost enemies tomorrow as you battle for that title.
Yeah, I think it is an interesting dynamic for sure, but I think we all want each other to do well.
Well, I know everybody wants everybody to do well this morning. Things have been really good for the team so far, and man, you guys have been on a tear. You're up next. Any notes so far from Giancarlo or anything he's learned in these 2 runs that you're going to be able to apply and help save fuel, tires, maybe make up some spots?
I think Adam is up next, actually, but the strategy seems to be working so far. We jumped 2 guys just by extending our fuel run.
Yeah, you were right. I had my notes backwards, but yeah.
Yeah, so Mark was one of those guys that we jumped, so we let him through because we know he's not fuel saving. So that wasn't really a concern for us to let him through. So I think if we just keep doing what we're doing, keep saving the fuel, keep saving the tires, we'll be in a good position.
And it is interesting now that Mark has gotten by, and other than on the straightaways, Giancarlo really able to stay in his slipstream, conserve a little bit more fuel, but in addition to that, Mark has been reeling in the cars ahead. You guys are closing in on those cars as well.
Yeah, it seems to be working out well for us. Giancarlo's sticking in his draft, getting even a little bit more fuel saving. I think once the temps really go up, the team Mark is on is going to really shred their tires, and we might be able to build a gap.
Well, man, good luck, and good luck tomorrow. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again then, buddy.
Yeah, let's hope Giancarlo saves the crashing for tomorrow, not today.
Well, if not, I mean, he's had enough championships. Pay somebody to wreck him.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, good luck, man.
Thank you.
Andrew Lau, and he mentioned the temperatures. We haven't checked that in a while. Track temp still holding about 76 degrees, but it is only about 7:30 a.m. in Australia. Track temperatures will be coming up dramatically. As you heard him say, that strategy is definitely working as he stays on Sassen's back bumper. 17th place is just ahead, but more importantly, 2 drivers in the top 10 have had off tracks just in the last few moments. Let's see what happened. This is actually the leader. Oh! And I do believe he kissed the wall as he came down the mountain. Take a look from another angle. We saw Casper that coming down the mountain as the leader. Yeah, just smacks the wall a little bit. Has continued to maintain the lead, but lost some ground there. And of course, the Audi we have talked about hanging on to the top 10 has had a few problems. He just overshoots turn 1. And that did allow that BMW to overtake and gain a position. Giancarlo currently sitting in 19th. You heard him say. You heard Andrew talking about the fact that Mark is going to be right ahead. They let him by. Giancarlo staying on his bumper. They are now within striking distance of 17th place, 16th place, and reeling in 15th place. Plus the fact that they are able to jump a lot of cars on pit road by stretching that fuel that extra lap. Potentially could jump quite a few as only about 5 cars ahead of them are running the same strategy at the moment, conserving fuel. Whereas a lot of these drivers up ahead, as Andrew said, they're gonna, as this track temperature comes up, they're really gonna start eating tires. It's definitely gonna be an interesting day in Australia. Now, we will not be here for all of it. We will be here for about another 20 minutes, and then we're going to hop off. But we will be in contact with the teams all day long. And if anything dramatic pops up, we will hop back on. We'll send out a tweet. So you want to make sure you're following us on Twitter, on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube, but we will hop back on as needed to update, and then we will be back around 5 Eastern to see the final 2 hours of the race. And throughout the day, as we check in with the team, we might just tweet out updates on where the Conliff Racing team is. We are starting to see some cars retiring. Trying to see exactly how many. Looks like already about a half dozen cars out of the race here in the early going. But we have seen a few drivers that have had problems and keep fighting back. Unfortunately, the Porsche that we had watched earlier on, the 08 of Joan Rodriguez, we saw the early problems that Joan had getting into the wall, lost that rear wing, fought back, got back, put it on pit road for a while, but was fighting their way back. Unfortunately, Joan has retired, and it looks like we had a multi-car incident a moment ago. Back behind. Does not appear it's going to impact our team, but let's take a look. Eric Biggs in that Porsche coming up the mountain, snaps loose. And Aaron McGregor just no. McGregor just had nowhere to go, and this is the concern we have talked about all morning long. Watching from Aaron's in-car cam, you see just how it is, and even with your spotter saying crash ahead, just no time to react and nowhere to move. Both drivers were further back in the field. Ooh, a close call as they come down the mountain. Giancarlo literally right on Mark's bumper. Right where he wants to be down these straightaways, but coming down the mountain, that is a very uncomfortable position here. Thankfully, this race was not multi-class. LMPs here would be, oh wow, yeah, I can. LMPs in the mix here would just be catastrophic. Giancarlo continuing to ride in 19th. That Conliff Racing Team 1, powered by Advanced Sim Racing Ferrari, they have, you heard Mike Marshall talking about it a few moments ago, and I cannot show the spreadsheet because I'm not going to give any hints to other teams, but I will tell you, as I mentioned, that they have calculations for each stint out to the exact second when they will be hitting pit road, and that is their mark of when they should hit pit road, first time, second time, driver switch, everything. They have these calculations for both teams. They have lap calculations for fuel, tires, and the amount of data here is insane. In fact, they can tell you exactly how much fuel they have to conserve per lap to extend an extra up to 2 laps. And the difference in lap times, they have put together so much detail with the help of Mike Dolling and Simon Zierk on Team 2. Not to mention, they have a ton of weather data they have pulled from iRacing to track. And most of it coming from just testing the cars this week, testing the tracks, testing the track temperature, and what they are expecting. And they are expecting dramatic changes in the track temperature today. In fact, at about 3 o'clock, between 2 and 3 o'clock in Australia, they're expecting track temperatures in the 140 degree zone. Why is that important? Well, guys like Mark Stassen ahead, they are not on a fuel conservation. So once this track heats up, those cars are going to struggle. Whereas Giancarlo and the Conliff team, they have planned this out so that they conserve fuel, conserve tires, more importantly, when these other cars that are not conserving fuel ahead, when they start struggling, and we saw this during that first run, when they start struggling, the team will start picking up positions. In fact, some of the cars who have charged forward early and lost ground early have not stretched as far. Cars like that 181 of Michael Herman Frey. That team is running much shorter stints than everybody else. They pitted after only 27 laps. They will be an easy overtake for Giancarlo and the team as the day goes on. And remember, Giancarlo and team are expecting to do one less pit stop than everybody else. But they have the setup to potentially stretch it a little further with a little drafting help like Giancarlo's been getting all morning. Could they short it 2 pit stops today? Hope everybody's having a great Saturday. Hope everybody is having a great weekend. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like, follow, subscribe. Most importantly, that share button. Don't forget to follow on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget to check out the video. We finally hit our MS fundraiser, our first goal of the year and released that 5.5-minute video of epic chaos in our American Truck Sim convoy last night. It was chaos, it was glitches, it was insanity. Take a quick look at the track temperature once again as Giancarlo's stint winds down here in Australia. Track has started to come up. The temperature now 77 degrees. And now is when we expect that track temperature to really start skyrocketing. Air temperature is actually not expected to get very high, but just the sun beating down over the track is really going to heat that track up, and we will start seeing some cars slipping around, as it does look like second round of pit stops has just begun. A few drivers back behind have come to pit road. Of note, here in Australia, still 35 drivers on the lead lap. And still about 44 of the 49 drivers that started this race still out on track. Hey, good morning, Ants. How are you? Hey, you could be here live, just a hop, skip, and a jump away. Checking some data here, but I do believe Giancarlo is actually at the moment ahead of schedule. From the fuel strategy, looks like he is going to be a few minutes ahead, and we've had another driver who has had to tow to pit road a moment ago. Problems back behind. One of the drivers we did see, he had problems earlier, and the mountain claims a victim. Oh, and he hit so hard his steering was broke. See if we can get a better angle on this one. But, yeah. He just snaps loose. And that's what we've been talking about. As these runs go on, tires go away. Giancarlo, though, has been conserving, and it is paying off. Starting to see more and more drivers headed to pit road, all back behind. None of the drivers ahead at the moment have gone to pit road. However, the first one in the top 20 we expect to see on pit road is likely going to be 13th place in that Porsche. Michael Herman Frey, currently in 13th, right on the bumper of Mark Hutchison in 12th. And I was wrong because Ray Dominique has just come to pit road from 8th. That is unexpected. He was one of the drivers that extended to 29 laps on his first stint. And let's see if we can talk to Adam Barker, who will be stepping into the car here in just a few moments. Hey, Adam, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Yeah, that's good, man. You're getting ready to hop in the car here shortly. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's good. We're getting a little bit frustrated right now with the BMW ahead, but hopefully Giancarlo will be able to open a little bit of a gap. We're not going for lap times here. We're just going consistency, keeping the car alive. So hopefully we'll be able to do that.
It has appeared you've been able to utilize the BMW a lot on this run, but coming down the mountain, it seems like he is just checking up at some weird spots and has almost caused a problem a time or two.
Yeah, well, we tapped him going down the hill last time because I think he might have tapped the wall going into Forest Elbow, so he was really slow. And it's given us both a little bit of damage, but it is what it is. We'll just have to bleed that off in the pit stops. It just seems to me that BMW's just run out of front tires now, and he's really costing us both a lot of time. He just can't seem to get the car stopped and turned properly. And the guy, I think he's the 17th, is starting to run away again because obviously he's got a bit more tire left underneath him. We'll have to see when he comes in. Hopefully he'll be coming in either this lap or next lap, so it'll give us Giancarlo a few laps of clean air to overcut him.
It does appear, watching pit stops here, starting back up again, I have seen it appears the BMWs are coming in much earlier on this stint than the previous one, so that may benefit you guys, but yeah, getting that BMW out of the way could really help, as you're able to utilize them to really reel in 17th, but now, as you said, it's just slowing you down.
Yeah, we're trying to hit a fuel number, so we're making sure we're getting that extra lap where I think the guy ahead is just going full bananas. So it's just getting past him is basically impossible because that BMW is so quick in a straight line. We can really get close to him coming into it, and then as soon as it gets back down the straight, the balance of power just seems to be a bit rough on the Ferrari.
Well, hopefully once you get it to pit road, get the driver swap, fresh tires, repairs, and hopefully, as last time, you'll be able to jump him again on pit road and maybe start to pull away.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have to see what we can do. If they keep this driver in, he is really quick. So he's definitely a quick driver. He just seems to have really used his tires hard this stint. So maybe he'll learn next time, and he'll have a little bit more to defend with it at the end. It's going to be interesting.
Well,
few laps here.
You're a few minutes from getting into the back in the car, man. Good luck this morning, and hopefully things continue to go forward.
Thank you.
Adam Barker, a little frustrated as now we're seeing more cars on pit road. That is 5th place. Liam Kerr now hitting pit road. Giancarlo continuing to try and make his way forward, and the BMW is now in. He is Giancarlo. And additionally, several cars up ahead also hitting pit road. Now is Giancarlo's opportunity, based on the fuel numbers from the first run, Giancarlo could potentially go another 4 laps. We'll see how far he decides to stretch it now that Mark Sasson is on pit road. And it does appear that Sasson is getting out of the car. We'll take a look here in a moment and see who's taking over. And there has been another problem for one of the drivers that has had a rough morning. You see that car, that BMW is already torn up as he comes down the mountain. Just gets loose through that final corner. Fortunately, that Ferrari saw it coming. Another place that can really be a choke point if a car goes off there. Fortunately, James able to recover and keep it going. Minimal damage, minimal additional damage. And we have got a bunch more of the leaders in on pit road this time. Giancarlo about to leapfrog up several more spots. Our leader has not been in for his second stop yet. He is on the same strategy as Giancarlo. Hey, good morning, Ants. How are you feeling this morning, buddy? Giancarlo now scored in 12th place as he continues his march up the mountain. That Porsche right behind on fresh tires just coming off pit road. But this is the time, the moment that this Conliff Racing team is going to capitalize. And even on old tires, Giancarlo just gapped that Porsche. Doing good, Ants. How are you? Third place car now on pit road. Fourth place is headed in. The Audi in fifth is coming in. Sixth place is staying out. Looks like the Ferrari's really able to conserve fuel here. Eighth place just dropped in one of the Ferraris. One of the notes that the drivers talked about is that pit road speed limit is right in there, right in where that shadow is. They are able to cut those corners into pit road without a penalty. You are up early on a Sunday, Giancarlo. Or, I'm sorry, you're up early on a Sunday, Ants. Giancarlo letting that Porsche with fresh tires go by. Giancarlo now up into 8th, continuing his second run here. Likely to see him in here in about 2 more laps. Well, you know, they are racing in Australia. They're not far from you. You ought to go join them. As the drivers climb back up to the top of Mount Panorama. The top 5, now the top 6 have not been to pit road. Giancarlo and the car behind him have also not been to pit road yet for their second stop, as they continue to extend that fuel window. And it looks like this group, we should see a few of them in this time by. Expect Giancarlo and a few others to extend, and now seeing that little bit of damage from the bump with the BMW. However, it does not appear to be dramatically affecting performance. And the Ferrari behind in, as was the one ahead. I will definitely have to look that up. That could be a fun track to try and get iRacing to scan. Now Giancarlo up into 7th. The top 5 have not pitted. This should be the lap. Giancarlo hits pit road. Adam Barker takes over the car. 4 tires, a full tank. Let's see what the track temperature is now. Still holding about 77. You should, the leader is on pit road. Should definitely tell them to get in touch with iRacing to come scan his track. Second place is now on pit road. That Audi Yannick out front has had another problem. Looking through the BMW that Giancarlo was battling with and had contact with, they have changed drivers, but they have lost a lot of ground. They have now slipped all the way back. Oh, that is awesome. They have slipped back, and Giancarlo is on pit road. The first driver change of the morning happening. Adam Barker now in the car. Giancarlo is out. We'll get a quick interview with Giancarlo. Then we are going to hop off for a few hours, but we will be back at 5 Eastern when the drivers will finish out the race here today. Yeah, they do not want to put NASCAR here. Nobody would survive the first lap. Adam Barker is rolling, currently in scored in 16th. He's likely to lose 1 or 2 here as he comes out. Let's see where he comes out at, and then we'll get a word with Giancarlo. Looks like Adam is going to come out about 17th place. So they continue to march forward. Let's take a look, and it does look like they got a lot of repairs done. Let's talk to Giancarlo. Hey, Giancarlo, it's Doug. You got me?
Hey, Doug.
Worn out, are you?
Oh, it is mentally exhausting. But I'm glad. I mean, the goal was just get like a relatively good start and keep the car clean. We had a slight touch there with that BMW ahead who was losing it, but we were able to get that just fixed in the pits just now. So car is back to being clean.
It does look a lot better. There was a little bit of damage. Didn't seem to affect performance, though. But, man, you started 25th, and you're just picking them up. But that leapfrogging is really, on the pit lane, has really made a dramatic difference. And long-term is really going to be in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the goal. I think 30 lap stints is what we're doing. The cars ahead are doing 28 and 29. So we'll obviously see the full extent of it towards the end of the race with the final pit stop in that time, but for now we're looking positive, which is really encouraging.
Looks like there's about 5 other cars ahead of you guys on the same strategy. When it comes down to the last few stints, are you going to crank it up, or is there a plan? I noticed in the fuel strategy there was plans for potentially going a few extra laps, maybe getting it a little bit further.
We'll see. I think that's really a game time decision as we get towards the end of the race, especially at the very end in the last stint. It will definitely just be a fuel it up as much as we need, but push it because, the last stop, bring it to the end. But yeah, I wish I had an answer for you, but we will see.
And I know you guys have a long day still ahead, but I know next time you're in the car, the track temperature is going to be dramatically different. I mean, it was 77 degrees just a moment ago, but it's going to be potentially 140-degree track temperatures when you get back in the car. I have to ask, are you going to put in some practice laps at that temperature right before you get in the car just to reacclimate?
I have put in a bunch of practice laps at that temperature, and I plan to do that again, especially, as you say, to reacclimate coming from this mid 70s track temp. The braking points, the lifting, it's all going to be a little bit different.
Well, man, it was a great run. You did an amazing job. The strategy's working, everything's working, and hopefully it will continue. Go get some rest, buddy.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, you could hear the exhaustion for Giancarlo, but he has got his team up to 17th. Now Adam Barker taking over, and there has been an incident back. Looks like back behind. Coming up just behind the group, actually coming up the hill, and ouch, backs it into the wall. Fortunately straightens out. There was a lot of traffic right behind him, and also coming down in that final turn, and this is a driver just hopping in the car just a bit wide. So Adam Barker takes over the car. And we'll have the next 2 fuel runs, and we are going to step away. But folks, make sure you're following on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We will be back at 5 Eastern with the finish of the race. We'll also have some fun later tonight, playing some games with the kid, and if anything happens that we hop back on due to an issue, we will send out a tweet really quick as we start prepping to get back on. So you guys make sure you're following on Twitter, and we will see you back here in just a little bit. Thanks for tuning in, guys.